What's up, otakus? How you guys doing tonight? Ugh. I just thought I'd jump on. You know, uh, I had a few beers. Had dinner, had a few beers. I knew if I kind of lied down and on my bed and if I didn't keep myself engaged doing something or talking, I'd probably fall asleep, and that's not good. So yeah, a lot has been kind of happening in the comic book market, and most of it is just Doom, Doom related. I think collectors are snatching up Doom. I mean, so like I have not been immune to the Doom hype or boom. The thing is, I was specking on Doom probably since they announced Secret Wars, which was about, I want to say it was about 2-3 years ago. They made the announcement, San Diego Comic-Con. They put out a bunch of like a timeline of expected movies that were on the slate. And, among those movies was like, Avengers, like Fantastic Four and all these things. And of course, subconsciously you're like, okay, yeah, let's pick up Fantastic Four books. Let's pick up Secret Wars related books. And so, yeah, it was always on the radar because of those movie announcements. And, Doom is just probably the best villain. Not my personal favorite villain, but definitely, like, I would say up there. For me, like, Lex Luthor is probably number one. On the Marvel side, Doc Ock is my favorite. And then I would put Doom right there at third, either Magneto or Doom. I'd put Doom higher than Magneto. And anyway, so yeah, like it's been, since that announcement and since we got back into comics, that the announcement was made just a little bit after I got back into comics. And I knew like Doom was just a favorite, like a cool character. And so subconsciously I was picking up Doom books. Not like with any like real intent, like I'm specking on Doom, I gotta pick up every Doom book. But like if we run into a Doom cover that looks cool. I just recently picked up Doom 2099 before this madness started, because I just figured, that's something that we might see, Doom 2099. It's not worth anything, and you shouldn't probably pay more than $5. I think people are paying like $10 for that book right now. It's not going to retain that value. Who knows? I don't want to say never, but it's a 90s book. Not very good art in it, and it's literally just the first appearance of Doom 2099. I don't even think it's the first appearance of Doom 2099. Doom 2099 was, I think his first appearance was in something called 2099 AD. Anyway, I'm not too sure, but it's the first, I guess, series for Doom 2099. But anyway, I just recently picked that up for like 50 cents or something like that, just because it was a book I wouldn't mind having in the collection, to be honest. It wasn't really spec. But yeah, like over the past 2 years, I picked up a lot of books, and a lot of them were Doom books. I remember like about a year ago, I picked up the John Romita Jr. cover, Iron Man cover, where, to my knowledge, it's the first uh, cover battle between Doom and Iron Man. It might not be the first cover where Doom and Iron Man are together, because I'm sure there's like an Avengers cover, or um, maybe a previous Iron Man cover where Doom might have been, or maybe I should say, like, yeah, I'm sure there's a Silver Age Iron Man cover where Doom makes an appearance, but the one where they're going head to head, mano a mano, where they're the only two characters on the cover, I believe it is the first. But it's an iconic cover, whether it's the first appearance of them on a cover together or not. It's an iconic cover, which I really like. Yeah, I love that cover, and I want it in the collection. Um, got a mid grade copy of it. Wished I had gotten a higher grade, to be honest. Um, but it is what it is. I got it pretty cheap. Um, and yeah, it's cool that all these like Doom. So like, I didn't get all the RDJ related hype books. I didn't pick any of those like modern key books or anything. But I picked up books like this, like this. I picked up the Kirby iconic Doom cover, the one where it's like it's Doom, and then there's all these like characters around circling around him, including Silver Surfer. That was a really nice pickup. I got that for like um, $20. I mean, it's low grade. It's like not a. It's like partially detached cover, little bit of a spine split on that one, but it presents really nice. So I was really happy with that pickup for $20. But yeah, like it, I just think it's interesting that like the market is going doom crazy right now, and it makes me kind of want to like. There's just one additional book I feel like I need to pick up. It's a Wills Portacio Iron Man cover, and yeah, I can't think of it. Like, I'm not going to go after more Dune books, at least not now. It just be the timing is not right. So, kind of just going to focus on other things I collect. Who knows? I may sell these Dune books, because like as great as this cover, and actually this is one I'm going to keep, but like some of the Doom books in my collection, they're not really. I've subconsciously picked them up, but they're not technically like core things I collect, which is weird. It, like, begs the question, like, why did I think a part of me kind of like is into all this spec buying, and like subconsciously into it. Because last year I picked up a bunch of like X-Men, like I picked up First Cable, I picked up X-Men, I picked up a lot of stuff which panned out this year. And then also relatedly, I picked up stuff that is panning out now. Um, and it's weird. Like, I don't know if it wasn't like intentional at all, but it ended up being like I was buying things, and then boom, like there's a lot of Deadpool Wolverine stuff that popped, and it's continuing to like, you know, like this is one of the first books I went out and got when it I'm talking about the crucifixion cover. It's one of the first books I went out and got because I had that book in my original collection, and it was just one of my favorite books of all time, like covers of all time. And so, like, that was one I actively sought out. And I was looking for a lot of Jim Lee books, a lot of books from this era, the X-Men era, the Silvestri Lee era. I kind of picked those all up when I first got back into collecting. Um, didn't care what they were costing me. I got probably, if I had been patient and looked harder, I could have probably picked up a lot of those cheaper. But actually, in hindsight, like when I picked them up, I got them rather like at a fair price. And now I think at least Lee's run has like kind of been going up in value. Um, I got a lot of the Lee books for like $3 to $5 at the Comic Con. I might have paid $7 on some of them, but now you go most places and those books are like $10. So, but then again, you can always find them as also like half price books or somewhere. You can always find them for like $2-3 as well. So it's a mixed bag. But anyway, those are that's a book that like there are books. When I got back into collecting, there were specific books that I like, got to have these now. I've got to get them off, like own them in my collection. And Secret Wars was, the black suit. This cover here, number 8, is definitely one of the high priority ones. One in this was also a high priority one. G.I. Joe 21 was a high priority one, the silent issue. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to like figure out, is what I'm focused on picking up, and I just don't want to think of it. It's influenced by a lot of this speculation. But I think just based off the outcomes and results of what I'm picking up and how they're ending up on these like lists, because I really am not trying to buy the next hot 10 book. I'm just like focused on convincing myself. I've convinced myself like this is something I want, and I pick it up, and then lo and behold, it like is on the list or is trending or doing something like this Red Hulk. I had no intention of buying that Red Hulk cover. I just ran into it for $15, which I thought was a great deal. And then lo and behold, Red Hulk is like announced, and that is no longer a 15 book in any sense of the imagination. It's real high grade. I mean, I could probably just turn around and sell it for like $200 right now, which I won't. It's weird because like now that it's kind of on everybody's radar, it's like I want to keep it. Whereas before, like I probably bought it thinking I could flip it or sell it. But now it's like, now that it's trending, I kind of want to hang on to it. But we'll see. I could see myself like selling that for $200, but then again, like I don't really sell books. I don't like. I haven't sold a lot of high value books, and it's because I'm not trying to sell the books. I'm like this. I bought this for like $2, and I'm like, man, I could flip this for like $200-300, but I never get around to posting or trying to sell it. I posted and tried to sell just a few books, like that Doom Iron Man covers one, because I just want it in a higher grade. So I figure I just sell the copy that I have, and wait till all this Doom hype dies down, and then spend the money I made with the mid-grade book to get like a higher grade book later. But yeah, I posted that for $50, and as of now, it got no traction. But I did see like a bunch of people like buying it online and whatnot. You could get it for cheaper. When I posted it, you could jump on eBay and get higher grades for about $50, or not less, but you could definitely get higher grades for $50. You could also get higher grades for a little higher than that. Or sorry, you can get higher grades for cheaper than that initially. This was like maybe last week, about a week ago, since that announcement was made. But I haven't checked as of late to see where the supply and the demand have put that book. But I'm staying true to that $50 price. I think at some point, someone's going to want to pay $50 for a mid-grade copy of the book. Yeah, it's like a 4.0, somewhere around there. And I don't know. I just feel like I probably have to, like, I do want to sell certain books that I have. And I've mentioned many a time before, this is it's not easy to sell books. It's quite challenging, because you want to get the fair value for it, but at the same time, it has to be a book that people want. You can't just like, just because it books at like $10 doesn't mean like it's going to sell for $10. And I think that's where I have sort of the difficulty. It's like, generally when books are in demand and they're the things collectors want, I want to keep it in my collection. I don't want to sell it. I think the real art is to separate the collector in me, the hobbyist in me, from the business. I don't even want to say it's like a business, but that the seller part of the equation, right? You got to separate the collector from the seller. And for me, like, yeah, like, if I were to really want to sell these books, I have to kind of just bring down the expectations on the price, really approach it from like a buyer's perspective. Like, if I was a buyer and I was looking for this book, and if it's a hot book or trending book, yeah, it's like you can get good value for it. Like, you can get close to book value or maybe more than book value for it. But if it's not, then you have to find that happy medium to bring the price down to where it would be able to push the book through. Anyway, I've been kind of rambling, drunk rambling a little bit. So I did want to kind of show off some books. And as you know, I got this short box, and it's full already. It's full of some of my most beloved books. What I've put in here are what I consider like cover works of art. So what I would label as like cover buys. Meaning these books they're not keys or anything. They're just great pieces of cover artwork. And I'm not going to reveal everything. I'll just pull out randomly and you can kind of enjoy what I have. But it's like it's a pretty packed box. I could probably fit like maybe 4 or 5 more books in here, but it's pretty packed. And I guess we'll just start with the first one that's here. Oh yeah, I just picked this one up. These are kind of in alphabetical orders. But yeah, I just picked this one up. Brian Bolin, 2000 AD #1. And this is yeah, just a cool Brian Bolin cover. #1 issue. Not a key book, surprisingly. I know this isn't like the first appearance of Judge Dredd or anything, but it just seems like this Eagle Comics run of this 2000 AD hasn't really, it's not on a lot of people's radar, or hasn't caught anyone's attention yet. But I think, Judge Dredd could potentially be a story that, I mean, this is just in here because it's a classic. I have this first print slabbed. It's from my original collection. What's crazy is I got it at the LCS. It was a wall book back then, and I bought it off the wall, and I paid, I think, $15 or $20 for it off the wall. And yeah, I'm glad I did, because it's worth a lot more now. I have it in 8.5. Probably should have paid a little bit more attention to the condition, but I didn't see the condition because I only saw the front of the book. Never thought to open the back and examine that. I didn't even think to be honest, like when I was a collector back then, condition was important, but I didn't know how to grade, and I didn't grade books. But generally, I would pick up books. They'd be in a bag and board. They were near mint for the most part. I didn't really focus on back issues or anything like that. I was just picking up things that were coming out. But there were certain issues I would get wall books of. That was one. I picked up, X-Men 141 off the wall, and I think I paid $20 for that one as well back in the day. That one ended up as a 9.4. It came back to 9.4 in the slab. So yeah, I mean, again, most of the books I picked up were just like when they came out, but I did every now and then like have some money to blow, and we wouldn't go we didn't get anything crazy off the wall, but there was nothing crazy back then off the wall to begin with. Like they were generally $20 books, $50 books, and $50 book was like the big ones, right? So yeah, it's interesting. Like if I could go back in time, I'd just probably, I'd focus on condition a lot more, but I'd also pick up Action Comics 1 and, and a bunch of other stuff. All right, well, here's a nice cover. This is Batman. What is that? 681. Just a nice Alex Ross cover there. Again, nothing key. Just this whole box is just of covers I like. Yeah, that's a nice cover right there, by the way. What's interesting about this era is to to look out for newsstands. So anything from mid-90s to the 2000s, you really want to pick up a newsstand, and you really want that newsstand to be high grade, because that is going to really ratchet up the value. So that's just something to keep in mind. Like the modern newsstands are, this is the beautiful Jim Lee cover right there. Let's see. Just randomly picking stuff out here. Oh yeah, another Bullen cover. Look at that. Got this for 50 cents. That's just classic right there. I've just been obsessed with Bullen. In fact, when I put my top 10 artists lists for this year together, I'm just giving you a preview in this video. I think Bullen is going to be my fourth. He's gonna move up two notches to number 4. He's gonna overtake George Perez and John Romita Sr. Because in my mind, yeah, I mean, the more and more I run into his stuff, the more and more I look at his artwork, the more and more I'm like, how is this guy not? He's just absolutely brilliant as an artist. And yeah, there we go. Got a Jim Lee cover here. That's in there for obvious reasons. Let's get the one behind it, see what this one is. Oh, another Bullen cover. Batman Gotham Knights. It's a nice cover there. That's what I'm talking about. Seeing stuff like that, it's just incredible. Just got artists that can draw anything. Beautiful Frank Miller cover there. Say what you will about Frank Miller as an artist. I think he just got stylistically, it's so unique. He's in a sort of league and class of his own. What do we got this one? What's this one? Jay Lee. Got some Jay Lee there. That's a book you want to keep. Whether you're specking or not, that's just a lovely book to have. And I would recommend reading the novels as well, the Dark Tower series. Nothing better. If you love comic books, it's reading that book is just going to take you on an incredible thrill ride. It's just an amazing series. That is just an amazing cover, right? Alex Ross goodness right there. I mean, most of the stuff in here is like, there's a lot of Alex. I mean, to be honest, Alex Ross should probably be in my top 10. But you got guys like Michael Turner preventing that from happening. Another Michael Turner cover there. Boom. All right. What else we got? Oh, yeah. John Byrne Marvel Age. We just picked this one up for $1. But how cool is that? John Byrne, Villainous Rogue cover. That is hot. Especially now with all the Doom like craze. That is dope. That's a dope cover there. That was just a cover by. It's not in great condition either, but who cares? For $1. Ends up in my cover by. Oh, yeah. In-Hyuk Lee. This has shades of Jisoo, who's a singer for on Blackpink, in Blackpink. Jisoo is like kind of going into because like the girls are now the girls of Blackpink. I should say the ladies of Blackpink, because they started out as like girls, now they're ladies. Um, the ladies of Blackpink have kind of disbanded, taken a hiatus to do their solo projects. And Lisa, I think, is working on like a solo album. I think all of them are doing solo album stuff. Jisoo's the only one not doing the music thing and doing the acting thing. In fact, she's coming out. She's starring in, I think, a movie or a drama series or something. But yeah, she's taking the acting route. So wishing her luck in that pursuit. But I don't think she's a great actress. I'm sorry to say that. And to be honest, she can't really hold her own as a solo artist, musical act. So really, I think at the end of the day, modeling and acting are her. That's her going to be her bread and butter at the end of this, for her career. But I'll have to see. Maybe she'll wow me with her acting, but I just don't see her being all that great as an actress. Maybe more of like a model, maybe then. But we'll just have to see how much her star power lasts as a solo act. That is John Byrne goodness right there. That's Silver Surfer 1. That's a dope cover. Most of these are just like, again, artists. Oh, what is this? Archer. I could probably, more than this book is the one I want to show off. Michelle Pfeiffer, Catwoman. Oh, boy, did he nail that cover right there. I mean, that looks like Michelle Pfeiffer. And he got the suit all. Get the suit exactly right. That was a cover by for sure. All right, what are we pulling out here? Oh, what's this? Oh, that's some Todd McFarlane. Spider-Man 13 goodness. Black Spidey. Now, luckily, I had this book. It's been a part of my collection since the day one. But if I didn't, this is another book I would have gotten after to add to the collection right away. That cover, whether it would have been 1 or 13, probably both though. Oh, here we go. This is fire right here. Literal disintegration fire right there. John Boy Myers, Boba Fett. That is one of my favorite covers in my collection, hands down. And he's doing a Kickstarter right now. Go and support that, please. If you've got the bandwidth to do that, go out and support his Kickstarter project. Oh, here's a beautiful. This we recently picked up. That is just a nice Brian Bolland Action Comics cover there. Super dope. Dope. Brian Bolland would have done an amazing run on Superman. I wish, because he's already established as a cover artist. DC was smart. DC takes the talented ones and they don't necessarily give them like big, like they should have given Bolland but Bolland did do a lot of interior artwork as well, but just he was very selective, I guess, about that. But I wish they would have given him like a Superman assignment other than like covers. But yeah, he was on the Wonder Woman cover assignment. He did a couple interiors, but I just felt like covers are great, but give me some interior artwork as well. Which is why I like these the 2000 AD comics. Like I want to pick up more of those because that's going to give me Bolland interior artwork as well. Up here's that's a Neil Adams classic right there. That is an angry Superman. Neil Adams action right there. Oh yeah, this one. This is our favorite. I mean, these two are like darlings in the collection. We've got Michael Turner, Superman. We've got, this is just one of the best Alex Ross covers you'll ever see. Superman at dusk Superman. That's just dope right there. What do we got here? Oh, there's another Jim Lee goodness right there. Boom. Hit you with the back cover right there with the back side. It's a grifter cover. Classic Jim Lee stuff right there. Books aren't worth a lot. Covers are priceless. All right. We're gonna show off now. Oh, another nice Jim Lee Trinity cover here. That's a nice cover right there. That is a key book. I think it's the first appearance of somebody, but I'm not sure. All right, where are we going? Ah, here's a nice. Ooh, this is also not a big book, but an incredible. Oh man, look how incredible that cover is. That's a beautiful cover right there. It's insanely beautiful. All right. All right. We got some David Nakayama hitting you with that Wolverine in Japan vibe. That is dope. That's one of our favorite covers in the collection as well. I mean, all these books in this box are just books I can't really part with. Yeah, this how dope is that? I mean, you got them ascending, and then they're back. Boom, they're out in outer space where they got their privacy. Yes, only the astronauts could see. All right, we're gonna just end it with two more books here. Got some Barry Windsor goodness right there. Oh man, that's a lovely cover right there. That's classic. It's a classic book right there. And then last but not least, we're gonna show for our last book here. Guess we'll I guess we'll do this Joker cover. It's not bad. Olin Joker cover. Olin Wonder Woman Joker. Joker Wonder Woman. Or Laughing Gassed Wonder Woman. All right, so there's a little bit of the showing off some of the cover artwork. There's a lot more books in this. There's just so much beauty in this little box here, and I'll continue to keep add books into this box. Maybe take some out if there are new ones to take the places of some of these. Like for example, this is a beautiful Frank Miller cover here. But I'm not married to it. I do think it's nice, but I'm not married to it. It's definitely something that if we're running out of space and another absolute phenomenal cover comes along, that one would probably exit. This is another one. I do like this cover. Great Mark Silvestri cover, but I'm not married to it. It's definitely one that can be usurped in terms of its presence in this box. So yeah, for now, everything in here is like solid gold, but none of them have been cemented into this box. The ones that have been cemented, a lot of them I just showed you. So Um, yeah, most of the ones I kind of took out and showed are ones that'll probably stay in here. And the reason I'm getting so kind of like nostalgic about what I have in the collection now is because, as I've been mentioning and saying, is I think we're getting to a point where I am. Let me just say it. Put it like this: I will always be a comic book collector. My passion for this hobby is not gonna go away. Um, and these books, uh, they're always gonna, as long as I have, the capacity to own things, meaning like, that there's nothing financially draining to where I'd have to like financial pressures to the point where I'd have to like liquidate things and sell things. As long as I never, knock on wood, run into a situation like that, these are things I want to keep and hold in my collection till the day I die. So I want to make that very clear. Like, I'm going to be a comic book collector and have the passion for these books till the day I die, because they were just a big part of my life growing up, and they've been a big part of my life for the past couple years now, post pandemic, and they came back into my life during a real period of like uncertainty and transition. Like, um, I had a son in 2019. He was born in 2019, so it was my first child. Um, so felt a lot of anxiety around his just presence in my life. A lot of joy as well, a lot of joy. But kids, um, you're always worrying about them, their future. You're always worrying about like kind of just a little bit of like self doubt as to whether you're a good parent, or if you're doing a good job and all that. So that was happening in 2019, and then 2020 rolls around, and boom, we're like literally what, almost 6 months into since my son was born. Yeah, it was like 6 months. 6 months into raising my son, the pandemic hits. And then I look back on the pandemic period now as like a somewhat of a blessing, because we were locked down and I was home every minute of the day. I mean, there was a period where I was working again. I was heading out to the office, but that was like, it still was somewhat like kind of remote, like come into the office hybrid type uh, work environment. Like I wasn't in every day. I did spend a good period of time at home, even after things opened up. Um, but yeah, like that critical period during Leo's development, my wife and I were just there attending to his every need, making him feel loved and just engaged, and you know he was taken care of. He was taken care of. And I don't think, like, my wife would have definitely done all of that, but being in a lockdown situation, it was both of us were just constantly there for him. So in hindsight, he, I think, got the benefit. I mean, he didn't have to, like, there was no school or anything for him, and it was just like those really initial days of him as an infant, where we were there, both of us taking care of him, like, and we were taking turns doing our duties, and it was a good team effort. So that was actually turned out really good. And then, of course, things opened up, and Leo started when he was preschool age. We sent him right to preschool, and um, I think looking back on that, it was it was a great. It wasn't all that bad, you know. Nobody I knew. Well, I did know one person who got sick and passed away, but um, there weren't any people in my, like, inner circle that um, passed away from COVID. And the anyway, like, as we were locked down, and the pandemic money came in, and I don't know what, I think I was looking at my comic books, and then my parents, they came to visit Leo at some point. Like, this was after the post, like, pandemic scare, kind of, as we opened up and people were getting together again and stuff. My parents came. They dropped a bunch of my old comic books, my old short boxes of comic books. They dropped them off, and I had my books back. Not all of them, because a bunch of my sports cards and comic books, they're somewhere. They had a storage unit which they cleared out, put in my sister's house. I got some books back from my sister's house. I suspect there's still something there in the garage or whatever, but it looks like a lot of the sports card and whatever other stuff is either still in a storage unit somewhere, or it's gone. It's like in the garbage, abandoned or something. But yeah, I had a lot of sports cards too. Things like Jordan. I didn't. I'm specifically thinking of specific Jordan cards, and you know, like, they're, at the time, they were just like, you kept them in a. They weren't real key cards. They were just like, you kept them in like a binder full of, what do you call them? Like the card binder pages, the card sleeves, sleeve pages. You kept them in the sleeves. Um, but yeah, I mean, if I were to get that binder now, that I'm sure there'd be some big cards in there that are a high value now. I mean, I have the Bo Jackson score, black and white, where he's got the baseball bat and the shoulder pad. I had that card that's in there. That's a big card. Well, I don't know if it's still big, but it was a big card a couple years ago. So there's just a bunch of stuff, like, I had in my room, and it kind of moved around and did things. I honestly didn't think I'd even get my original comics, like the short boxes that my parents brought back. I thought those were lost as well. But when they brought them, and I was like, whoa, because they kept those in Virginia, where my sister is in California. So that, like, things are kind of spread out. There's stuff in Virginia, there was stuff in California. But anyway, when they brought that stuff from Virginia to me, I was just like, wow. And that really prompted me to, like, okay, let's do a CGC submission, because I had a lot of books in there that I thought, these are books that they're kind of cool, and I'd like to have them slabbed, and they might be worth a lot of money if they come back a certain grade. And, you know, got this New Mutants 98 and a 96. That was probably the biggest thing to come back from CGC in terms of value and grade. But yeah, I mean, a lot of my books. We also added some. I picked up some books and submitted those too. Not everything was from my collection, but there are also things I picked up that I sent, which I probably shouldn't have in hindsight. One being this book here. I got this in a newsstand, and I thought it was like high grade at the time I sent it in, but shows you like if you don't understand grading, you probably shouldn't expect too much. I was hoping that would come back in 8.5. It came back in 7.5. So, and when I look at that book, I didn't agree with the grading when I revealed it and thought, no, this can't be a 7.5. But I'm looking at it now. It does have issues. Yeah, it is what it is. Where was I going? Yeah, so okay. So I'm getting nostalgic about the comic books as during this whole period. And I jumped into it kind of like with all this enthusiasm. Hey, Noranad, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. I jumped back into it with all this like passion and enthusiasm, and I kind of went off the rails with it, to be honest. Like, I still am off the rails with it because it does take up a lot of my like thought processing, right? Like I'm always thinking like, okay, when we have budget, what are we going to pick up? And what disturbs me about that is, for example, here's a book. This is a bad example. That's a bad example. I'll keep pulling that book out. I'm just going to pull a random book out. Okay. All right, here's a book. Okay. Just recently picked this up. And this is a book I've probably looked at maybe 3 times. I've looked at this this is my maybe 4th time looking at this book. And what I've been noticing is I pick up a book, I share it with you guys, and then it goes into a box, and that's it. I don't read them. I sure as hell don't like pull them out and like stare at them. I mean, some books I do, actually. I do that with some of the books. These ones I constantly get to see because I put them out. So I'm constantly looking at the ones on my shelf. The point I'm trying to make is like I'm getting into this pattern of where like, oh, wow, I picked up this book I really like and I love, and now it's part of my collection. And then boom, rather than enjoying the book, taking time to like really enjoy the book, like relishing and appreciating the book, I just kind of tuck it away, and then I'm on to the next thing. I'm like, okay, it's part of my collection now. I can just focus on something else. And it's been like that for the past 3 years since I got back into collecting. And again, what's disturbing about that pattern is it's a lot different from how I used to collect or what got me into the hobby in the first place. When I was collecting as a collector, I was buying the books that were coming out. I wasn't buying back issues. I was buying the books that were coming out, and I had a limited budget. So any given month when titles came out, I focused on the books I wanted to buy because I thought they would be worth something down the road. And I also wanted to get the books that I would read and enjoy. So every book that came into my collection, I would pick up probably 4 or 5 books a month, somewhere around there. Nothing crazy, maybe like $10 a month where we pick up books. And they would end up in my box, and I would read every single one. I would probably read every single one 2 or 3 times. This was back in the day. And it wasn't nostalgia at that point. It was just like pure, unadulterated, like passion for reading the books, enjoying the stories, and just like, wow, what's going to come out next month? And just looking forward to that, or maybe making a judgment, this wasn't so good. We're not going to pick up more of this. But, back in the day, consistently, I was getting a lot of the Image books. Pretty much like most of what I picked up was Image books. Picking up Spider-Man here and there, picking up X-Men here and there, picking up Batman here and there, and of course reading Superman here and there. I didn't pick up a lot of the Superman books except around the Death of Superman story arc. So prior to the Death of Superman stuff, I wasn't into Superman. And then when the Death of Superman stuff came out, I was kind of into it, and then it faded, and then we stopped picking up Superman books. It was mostly X-Men, Image books like Spawn, Wildcats, Team 7 was big. I remember reading that. What else was we were into? We were into things like Cyberforce, Gen 13, of course. Those were like some of the big ones that I remember, like just being really into and reading. And of course, when I was younger, before the Image days, it was purely X-Men. All the X titles, pretty much. X Factor, X-Men, Wolverine, Batman, Burn Superman. These were the kind of things that like I was, and I had less of a budget in high school than I did in college. But college was actually where I had like a part-time job, and I had a little bit of money that I could actually spend on comic books. Whereas in high school, I had my allowance, but the allowance wasn't really enough to pick up much. And my mom wouldn't take me to the comic book shop all that often. I had to kind of go to a bookstore across the street that had comics, and just wait every weekend and see if after my music rehearsals and whatnot, if we could go to the comic book shop. That was very intermittent, but whenever we went, we'd pick up stuff. In fact, I got The Dark Knight Returns issue number 2. That was one of the first books I got from my LCS. And I read that thing a gajillion times. And then we got the trade paperback and read that a gajillion times. And that's when I went in and got the wall book, number 1. So, all these things kind of it was a different level of appreciation. I didn't pick up a lot, but man, did I pour over the books. They were in this box, and it was literally one box that just you would fill up over time, and it took a while to just fill it up. I remember it wasn't a complete box. It was just kind of you'd have to put stuff in there to keep it from, overlapping, and little by little did it fill up. But yeah, everything, we'd go back and read stuff like the Daredevil, Frank Miller, John Romita Jr., what is it called? It's called the man, the man with no without fear, the man with no fear. That run on Daredevil, man. That because we loved Daredevil even prior to that. Um, Frank Miller's run. What I only had one comic book. It's the one where Daredevil, like a guy fires at Daredevil, he hits it off, and then the last panel ends with like a bullseye kind of reference. Like Bullseye is looking at this paper, like I'm going to destroy you, and it would just ended there. But that book I must have read a gajillion times, and it was just again some of the best like comic book writing I'd ever read. Um, and I didn't like that was like I picked that book up randomly, and I didn't think to pick up more from that Miller run. Because again, I wasn't into back issues. I just wasn't going to go back and pick up like old issues of Daredevil. I didn't pick up anything old issues. It was just like kind of like what was coming out, and wall books. I would pick up wall books. But that Daredevil book, I'm just like trying to remember how it came into my collection. But just that one Daredevil Frank Miller comic is all it took for me to like, and then this Daredevil series to like really have me become a Daredevil fan. That's all it takes. It takes like one or two books and then a series like Man with No Fear to like cement the character, like who Matt Murdock is, who Elektra is, who the Kingpin is. All it takes is like a one or two books. That's the way it was with Spider-Man. All it took it was like a few of those like old. You read the old issues, classic issues of like something like Spider-Man 88 or 89, where Doc Ock comes back, and that just cements Romita Senior, Doc Ock, Spider-Man as your favorite characters. That's all it takes, and that's kind of it. And like same with Batman, right? You just read the like. I read this collected stories, Batman Greatest Stories Ever Told, and they have the origin story in there. They have all these like, the Joker stories, the classic stories from the Golden, Silver, and Bronze Age to just but I never thought to like get those back issues and all that. Even during that, as you were reading them, you don't think, oh yeah, I've got to go out and get those back issues. I wish I had like bought more comic books during that period, but my comic book collection was competing with my sports card hobby. So a lot of my spending was on like packs of cards that are all worthless now. I was buying like 89 Pro set, like I started collecting in like 80, 86, 85, 86. But like, yeah, I mean, 85 tops, you had the Eric Davis card, you had Kirby Puckett rookie, you had there were the keys there, but I didn't have any of those cards except the Mark McGuire rookie. 86, not a lot came out of there. I used to have that Jose Canseco, both Canseco rookie cards from the Donruss and the Flair didn't have it. What was it? It was just the Donruss that had the rookie card, I guess. Flair had it in the update, I think. Anyway, and then 87 was worthless. 88 was worthless. 89, Ken Griffey came up, and then that's when I really poured a lot of money. Probably not a good idea because 89 on sports cards are pretty much like just they were overproduced. They aren't worth anything even to today. They're not. You should not be picking up 90s cards. But yeah, I was competing with sports cards, and I was really just for the comic books. I was just really in it for the week to week kind of story, right? So if I was reading like um, X-Men, for example, and like Inferno came out, I would read Inferno and get the next issue of Inferno, and it was just kind of like that. Just I didn't think to just like get a full run of stuff. I would just intermittently pick and choose what we would get, and so it would just be this like we pick up milestone issues, number one issues, but it was just this like cornucopia of stuff, and a lot of it was worthless. A lot of it was like image books. A lot of it was just like technophage, like a Leonard, like that technophage book from the '90s, or some of the Lady Death stuff. I even picked up. I don't know why I didn't enjoy, and I had She in my collection, which I did not enjoy at all. So I had a bunch of books in my collection that just were worthless, and I honestly bought them because these like Wizard magazines and whatnot, they had them on like their lists, and you just like, okay, I'm gonna get the top 5 that are on the list and have them in my collection. I'd read them and enjoy. Well, I didn't enjoy everything, but I'd read them, and you know, I'd read them more than once. Some were great, some were forgettable, some were kind of in the middle, but like it was a random selection of stuff. And then of course you had the ones that you consistently got, like the X-Men's or the Spider-Mans or things like that. But yeah, it was just this cornucopia of stuff that I was picking up. I'm sure a lot of you like current collectors can maybe identify with that. You guys are probably also picking up like this week's comic books or recommended ones. You're looking at, okay, which one should I pick up this week, right? And you're just picking up. Maybe you have a pull list, and you're just picking. You got one to start pull list on something that just came out, kind of like that. But yeah, it was definitely a different sensation and feeling to collecting back then than it is today. And today, I've graduated from buying a comic book off the stand, reading it, and tucking it away, and all that. For me, it really felt like the restraint of not being able to pick up all the stuff I wanted and all that. Being selective of what we could get from the '90s and the late '80s, like all that restraint I had because I didn't have money and because of whatever. Now that I'm here back in it, like I still have a budget restraint. I will, but I can spend more on books now, and the books I want are not terribly expensive, especially the ones from again that collecting era that I love. And now that we're just like more focused on the artwork and the stuff I enjoy, I've just been kind of hell bent on just like doing a churn, like kind of picking stuff up and going on to the next thing, right? Like it's this sort of never ending cycle of not being able to really enjoy what we have, but constantly seeking stuff out. And this is why I think I'm probably going to stop collecting come end of next summer. I'm giving myself, because we got into this thing in 2020. Well, let me backtrack. 2021, technically, like late 2020. Let's put it that way, like the fall of 2020, or the fall winter of 2020, and I think the fall winter of 2025. So let's just say the end of 2025. Yeah, because I can just see like my top pickups of 2025, and then soon after that will be like these are the top books in my collection. And once we put that video out, which will probably be at the end of 2025, I think that's when we're going to just put a pin in the hobby, and just call it quits. We're not fully calling it quits. We're just taking a pause. We're stepping away. We're not going to buy books. We're not going to think about books. I'm going to be able to, at that point, I'm going to just really sit down, and maybe just start opening some of these babies up, reading them, and just enjoying what I have. And I've got really a lot to enjoy around me. But I'm kind of not focused on doing that right now because I'm too obsessed with buying books rather than enjoying what I have. And so I think, 2025 rolls around. We're going to just stop this sort of like cycle, this vicious cycle of like picking stuff up, putting in a box, picking up the next thing. We're going to stop that vicious cycle where we're not picking up anything new. We're going to really just enjoy what we have, like kind of take stock and inventory of what we have. Focus on maybe selling at that point, right? Putting maybe some bundles together or stuff that we feel like, okay, as great as this book is right now, or as great as this book was when we got it, we're not really liking it now anymore. It doesn't have to be part of the core collection. And we're going to, focus on trading or doing things with what I have. That's the thing I want to emphasize. It's like we'll have moved into another phase or stage of the collecting of the hobby. And I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm gonna start cleaning and pressing the books. I want to really hold that phase of enjoying this hobby after my son is in college or out of the nest. So I think come 2025 it'll be good. It'll be healthy. I'll be able to focus on things outside of comic books. I'll probably even take a break from this channel because I think a lot of what I'm enjoying about this is also being able to kind of like share it with you guys and have sort of this video log of what we pick up. And definitely I enjoy a lot of the engagement I've had through the community as well. And with that being said, I just want to end with an announcement. So I think I alluded to it in my last video. I'm going to this comic show in Vancouver, Canada, on the 25th of this month. In fact, let me get the name of it. It's a comic book show. It's a one-day show. It's scheduled for Sunday in Vancouver, British Columbia. And my dear friend from the community, Alex Bustos, is going to be presenting, or not presenting, she's going to be participating at the show as a Artist Alley artist. And so, we had talked about, I know she was down here one time and I wasn't able to hang out with her because, family obligations. And I know we had talked about, next time I'm in Vancouver, love to hang out with you. And we talked about that, but I never got a chance to go up there. Even though it's 3 hours away, my wife and I have yet to take Leo up there, and it just hasn't been. Yeah, we just haven't planned anything. But then when I heard about we interviewed Alex a while back during Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and she mentioned that she was going to be at this show. And I thought, okay, yeah, wife and kid will be gone. I will have lots of time in the summer. Well, not lots of time because I'm working, but you know what I mean? Like if we're going to do a trip or we're going to go somewhere nearby, like Portland or Vancouver, it would be this summer, right? Like during this, while my family's away. So yeah, I basically reached out to her and said, hey, I'm gonna plan to be at that show that you're gonna be at, so let's hang out. And she was all excited as well. So we've been kind of going back and forth, and that was cool. In fact, like I think we're gonna get Japanese food, and she's gonna get me these like famous Chinese Filipino baos that are there. Baos are like they're kind of like buns with filling, and my local friends here who are Filipino have all been saying, "Oh, you've got to go to that bakery and get those baos." I'm like, okay, they're that good, huh? They're like, yeah, they're just, they're extremely good. So, and then I asked her about it. I'm like, hey, do you know about this bakery? And she's like, oh yeah. But it's not close to, I guess, where the convention is or the show is. So, she's like, I'll pick you up some. And I'm like, okay, I didn't want to say that's okay because I do really want to try these like baos out. And that's the thing, like you can get a box of them. You don't have to eat them right away. You can get a box and then you can like steam them or like, like kind of reheat them and get them nice and moist and hot. You can get them hot again. And so I figure, yeah, we'll have a couple, together, and then I'm going to wrap them up and bring them back to enjoy back at home. So this thing is called the West Coast Comic Con, Sunday, August 25th. Tickets at the door is $12. And they have a bunch of artists here. And yeah, Alexandra Bustos is right here. She's among the featured artists again. I actually know some of these, like Megan. Oh, that name. Oh no, sorry, Nick Nagy. I feel like I've seen his artwork before. All right, but anyway, yeah. So I've been kind of like getting really excited for this trip because I've already mentioned we're saving up a good chunk of money for it. I'm planning to take about $1,000 up there, which when you do the exchange rate, let me do it here for you real quick. 1,000 US dollars will net me 1,376 Canadian dollars. And I'm hoping that rate kind of improves over the next 2 weeks, because right before the trip, I'm going to go and basically exchange $1,000 US to whatever the Canadian is, and take that up to the show. The intent is to spend it all there, because there's no point bringing Canadian dollars back with me and exchanging it back. It's pretty much going to be like, take it all and spend every last dime at the show. So I am this Friday is going to be a very meager haul video, because I'm giving myself about a $5 to $10 budget, and we're only hitting up Mill Geek Comics, and we're going to be hunting specifically for like that Iron Man, Will's Portatio Iron Man cover, the half Iron Man, the half Doctor Doom cover. I'm specifically looking for that in those bins. It's probably been picked to hell since the announcement, so I'm not expecting to find it in there, but we're just praying and hoping that it's somewhere in the corner. No one finds it, and I'm the one who gets that one out of those bins. And I'm pretty sure it's in there, or it's in there, but so if it's gonna be in there, either I'm gonna find it or someone else has found it already. Like prior to me going there, someone else would have found it already. Or it was never in the bins to begin with. So those are sort of the three scenarios, right? Either we're going to find it, someone beat us to it, or it was never there to begin with. But either way, we're going to dig, do our best, and hope. But yeah, that's going to be it. I'm not going to, outside of the and we might not even pick up $5 to $10 worth of books. But I'm going to give myself that bandwidth for digging, and that haul is going to be this Friday's haul. So I'm not going to do anything outside of that. I have now a very comprehensive sort of mental note of the books I want. Should we have, like, post West Coast Comic Con, obviously we're going to spend a big chunk of what we've saved at the show. And then we're going to have about maybe 2 or 3 more pay periods that of work, of paychecks that will come in before my wife gets back. Maybe 3 cycles of pay periods, which is still a significant amount. So, like, we take $1,000 up there, we'll probably have a couple hundred saved up, plus the 2 to 3 pay periods. So that'll give us a good chunk of change that either we'll save or we'll hand over to my wife, or maybe pick up some of those. There's at least 2 books that if we have like $60, we definitely will have $60 of bandwidth. I'm going to go pick those up separately. So yeah, I mean, I kind of have everything planned out in terms of what I want to pick up, what I want to spend, what are the books I want when I've done the majority of the spending here. Well, we're going to pick up with some of the leftover money, and then come September, it's just going to like really drop off. Be the end of the summer of 2024. Comic calls. I'm just probably really going to take a step back from picking up stuff, and just be more focused on, my kid and my wife, and doing more things with them versus just being focused on like the hobby. And I've really reached a point where it's like, yeah, like where's the end game in all of this? Like I haven't really finished any of my runs. It's like it's just never ending. Like if I could just, I mean, I have some of the runs finished. Um, you know, like a lot of the Jim Lee runs are done. Like what I mean by that is like his things that he's done interior artwork runs on. Pretty much have those filled out. The Byrne Action Comics to Superman run, there's still holes in that. In fact, if we get down to like every Superman book that he's ever worked on, there's a lot of holes. Again, during that era, he was at DC. And there are just a lot of holes for Byrne books, for Fantastic Four Byrne books. I don't think I'll ever finish the Fantastic Four Byrne, but that's like a slow. That's something like, yeah, you know, for whatever reasons, even past 2025, if we find ourselves at half price books or at a comic book store, and that's a big if. Like, I doubt I'll end up at one, but in case, like, let's say we're over at my sister's house during holidays and the kids are doing their thing, and I have some time to maybe go visit a half price books or a comic book shop and have some, you know, I can spend 10 to $20 there or whatever. If there's ever that a scenario like that, yes, I'm just going there to look for Byrne Fantastic Four books or whatever Wonder Woman Bolin books that I don't have in my collection that I need to fill. But I am hoping this show, because after we pick up a lot of the big key books, we're going to focus right on the back issues. So those are two things. Like I'm just going to pick up a bunch of Fantastic Four Byrne because I'm going to get them at a great price. So fill up as many holes as I can on that, fill up as many holes on the Wonder Woman, and fill up the holes on the Action Comics, pick up some of the key X-Men books I don't have. And I think we'll be good. I think there's, what are the things that I'm missing? I've given up on the Wolverine. I'm going to pick up more She-Hulk, but I'm not going to go crazy on She-Hulk, just like key issues. And that's that. Yeah, I don't think, in terms of the completionist stuff, Byrne and Wonder Woman, Byrne's Fantastic Four and Bolin Wonder Woman are the only ones that are like, that I feel like I want to button up. Those are the only two ones I want to button up. I think we'll be good. X-Men, that'll just be a long-term thing. To be honest, Fantastic Four might be a long-term thing too. Like, it's a big run. Hey, Miss So. Lost in Space? Is that what you're listening to? All right. Or watching? So yeah, okay. Now that we've been talking about like great cover art and doing all these things, I did want to, you know, it's great to see Alex, but I did also want to support her. And so I asked her if she was taking commissions. I wanted her to do a comic book cover for me, just to do a blank cover sketch. And we've gone back and forth, and we agreed on a price for kind of like the ideation I had. And I thought it was more than fair. So I said, yeah, let's do it. So I just sent over the payment to her this morning. And she's now working on the book, and we'll have it ready for pickup by the time the 25th rolls around. So I am so excited. I really want to share what the book idea is, because I'm proud of myself for coming up with the idea. To be honest, like it's just such a it's a book that we've never seen. We've never seen this sketch cover idea in comic books. But when I reveal it, I think that's going to inspire somebody to do more of it, because it's such a brilliant idea. And yeah, I just can't I can't fathom why no one has thought to do it. I mean, let me take it back. It is something we've seen in comic books, not on a cover, but on the panels. And then I'm not going to go anywhere outside of that, but that image is pretty infamous and famous now. And it's not done in comic books hardly ever. So I'm going to leave it at that. But that's the idea I took to Alex. And I have yet to get her, like, because we were texting, and I've yet to get her like real, like, live action reaction to it, to gauge what she actually thinks of it. From the messages, it sounds like she's like kind of excited, or like she thinks it's a good idea. But I'm hoping she sees like that it's like, yeah, it's a fun, great concept. So what I'm gonna do is, the night before I head up to Vancouver, okay, which will be Saturday night, the 24th. On the 24th, I'm going to reveal to you what the book is, okay, what we've commissioned Alex to draw on the pages of this book. It's going to be a wraparound cover, okay? And I'll reveal what the concept, or what the idea is of the book. And the very next day, I'll live stream the reveal. When Alex presents me the book, I'll be live streaming from the con, and you'll get pretty much the live reaction, with my live reaction, her live reaction of that exchange, and you'll see the book revealed then. So I'll reveal the concept Saturday night, and you'll get to see the outcome, the results, on the 25th. And I'm just really excited for it. So I'm going to give you one hint. Okay, one hint. I mean, this one hint it's going to give away a lot if you know who I am as a collector. Okay. It's going to give away pretty much at least a big part of the equation, this one hint. Okay. If you can figure out the hint, but I think most of you will figure it out. Feel free to spoil spoil the reveal if you think you know what it is. I'm only giving away a specific aspect of the content. I'm not fully revealing what the concept is yet. So, but this is the hint, okay? Love triangle. That's your hint. love triangle. We all love a good love triangle, right? We all love a good love triangle, and that is what this comic book cover is going to encapsulate. Okay, so that's a big hint. I mean, how many comic book love triangles are there? So you gotta just figure out who I am, what love triangle means to you and me in comic books, and that's kind of what you have to look forward to. Again, feel free to spoil it if you think you know what the book is. Put in your theories and ideas in the comment, the chat. But that is the book we're coming back with, and so again, you know, Alex has done a comic book sketch cover for me that I have in the collection as well. I love that cover. It's such a gorgeous. It's a Psylocke sketch, and I love that cover. So with this new, you know, idea, I'm really excited. I just, yeah, I'm so excited to see what she does with the book, and I'll just be happy knowing that it's her artwork. It's a one of one that is, I think, I mean, not that it's my original idea, but to a certain degree, it is my original idea. And again, it's going to be fun just sharing it and showing it off and having it in my collection. And for all intents and purposes, that book, it's not going to be like the book of the 2024 haul. It's not going to be like the book of this summer, but it will be on the top books we picked up this summer for sure. It may not be, it may be the top book, but I'm anticipating some of the bigger pickups that we have are just going to be like, you know, way up on the list. But it's definitely going to be on the list. Where it lands on the list, we've yet to see, because I have to, first of all, see the final outcome. And no pressure on Alex or anything, but I'm expecting it to be spectacular. So if all goes to like my expectations, I mean, it could be the comic book of the summer haul. And you know, we've yet to, like, right now standing atop the summer pickups is it's not up there right now, but it's the Bolin Killing Joke first print signed book in a 9.6. That's a tough book to topple, in my opinion. But some of the targeted books I have are really big books. So if we pick up any number or even like one of those like big keys, those potentially are the big books that we can hail this summer. But yeah, as of now, that Bolin Killing Joke signed book is tops. Nothing's beating that. Nothing is coming close to that book as of yet. But this Comic Con should change that, because again, we're taking up big money. We're hoping to pick up. We have a list of big books we want to get. Some of them are just like drop every dime we have and just pick that one book up kind of books, or some of them are like we could probably pick 3 or 4 of them up with $1,000 budget, and some of them are flat out like, you know, like $1,000. So, and it's all what we run into. You know, we got to look. It's all what, in terms of the price and grade, what seems reasonable or fair to us. But yeah, it's going to be fun because it's literally an Unmyeong trip. We're going up there with money. We're going up there with a list. We're going to stay true to that list. We're not that big money. We're gonna go from one big book to the next big book and be like, do you have this? Do you have this? Oh, you have this? Okay, hold on. Do you have this? Do you have? Oh, you have this? Hold on, and do all that around. Get a sense of the inventory, what is, and then prioritize. Okay, we're gonna pick up this up there. Haggle, try to pick it up. Boom, off the list. How much money we got left? And literally do it like that way, so that we spend appropriately. And then once we have, I want to at least spend like, $200 to $300 on back issues, and again, filling up all the little holes in the collection we have. That'll be the other part. So after we pick up the big sort of keys or the big target books, we'll focus on the smaller stuff and come back. And I'm giving myself a bandwidth of a short box. If I have to get a short box and just fill it up with comics, that's fine. But it could be anywhere from one big book and a couple small books to several larger books and like a short box of dollar books. I mean, it's like whatever destiny throws my way is kind of what we're coming back with. So it could just be whatever. I will guarantee you that there's going to be Bolin Wonder Woman books in what we pick up. There's going to be at least one or two Byrne Fantastic Four books. There's going to be one Neil Adams Superman, Superboy, or Action Comics book. I don't know how much Jim Lee we're going to pick up, to be honest, but I'm sure there's going to be a Jim Lee book. And the rest is that. So should be. Yeah, it's kind of like a big money. I don't think I've ever taken $1,000 to a show. I've come close. I've spent $700 on a show once, but that included like a Jim Lee autograph experience, which was like $200, and then like $500 on books. Sorry, no, it wasn't even 500. It was like we spent like $200-$300 on books, so it was like 500 total. And then another show I took maybe $300. So this is the first show where I've like other shows that like $50 was like all I took. This is the first one where I'm taking like big money, yeah, and like ready to throw down on a big book. I mean, if we run into like a low grade, well presenting, giant size X-Men, I feel like that's the book we're coming back with, right? Just a giant size X-Men and maybe a handful of like dollar bin books. And that's a real possibility because a lot of people will have giant size X-Men. It just depends on what grade they have and how low they're willing to go. That's not a book that it's always available and always kind of there in the periphery. There's even one locally. I just didn't bother to ask what the guy wanted for that local book, and it looked decent grade. I mean, it looked mid grade. So I was just kind of like, it's probably out of my price range to begin with. But there's one locally that I didn't even think to ask. There's another big local book here. It's First Punisher. It's First Punisher, mid grade, that I think is like underpriced, to be honest. And I almost pulled the trigger on it, but I wanted to at least wait to this show and see what we picked up. And if I feel like there's nothing at this show that warrants big spending, maybe, well, I could still pick up that book with whatever's left over. So I think I'm going to stick to my plan, spend every dime there, maybe pick up the First Punisher book with the remnants of what we saved. That would be a big pickup. The First Punisher, because he's a character that I do like. That's something to consider. But yeah, I mean, the possibilities are endless, and so it's really motivating me now to like now that we're essentially 2 weeks out, right? Um, I've got 2 more weeks of like work, and then that third week we work Saturday. I'll do the video where I reveal the book, and then Sunday morning, crack of dawn, we're heading up to Canada, beating all the traffic, getting there early, because this show starts at. It starts. What time does it start? About. It starts. They're not giving us the start time. Let's see here. 11 a.m. Starts at 11 a.m. So, yeah, I'll probably want to get there early. Park, maybe grab some breakfast, or maybe hang out with Alex. If she can get me in a little earlier, help her set up and do things, and then just start walking around and talking to people. I mean, that would give me a head start at least on getting. Yeah, I'm going to try to get there as early as I can. But 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. is not a lot of time. We've got to be really efficient with our time at this show. I didn't realize it was such a late start. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of vendors there. Oh man, I'm so excited. I'm just looking at some of these like pictures from the previous shows. I'm seeing a lot of Slab, Silver Age. I see a Spider-Man 3 there on the wall. This guy's selling. I mean, Spider-Man 3, like a 3.0. For 1,000, like a raw, let's say a raw copy, 3.0 for like 1,000. First appearance of Doc Ock. I mean, I'd have to pick that up. I would have to pick that up, but again, we don't know if that's going to be there waiting for us there. But right now is the time to pick up Doc Ock. No one's talking about Doc Ock. Everybody's talking about Doctor Doom and all and whatnot. I would imagine this book is as low as it's going to get for the time being, right? And Doc Ock's going to be in Secret Wars. I'll bet you $1 million he's going to be in Secret Wars. But that's a possibility. Yeah, so Transformers 1. I'm focused on Transformers 1, G.I. Joe #1. I'm focused on, let me pull up my list here. I'm focused on, this is a big one. The Joker book, Batman 251. That's the Neil Adams Joker book. I'm focused on Superman 57, Golden Age. It's the Lois Lane carrying Superman. I'm hoping to find that either raw or graded. And that could be just like a one and done book. Like literally, if like the guy's like, I got 1,300 Canadian dollars, would you take that? And if he says yes, that it could be that. It could literally be that. That's the deal, and then I come home. It'll be it'll be it'll just be like, I go to the booth, I see it. No other place has it. I ask him how much it is. What I was asking. And then I lowball him and say, I've got 1,300 Canadian dollars cash I can give you. That's it. If he says yes, it's mine. If it's no, then that's not a book we come home with. But of course, it depends on the grade. Obviously, this Superman 57, as great a book as it is, if it's low grade, it's obviously going to be way under 1,000. So I could potentially pick it up for if it's like a low grade book, it could be just among the books that we pick up. So everything's grade dependent. Even the Neil Adams book. Neil Adams, we're targeting low. This Superman, we're targeting low to mid. But you don't always have a choice. I think you're going to see possibly one or two copies of this book at the show. So if it's out of our price range, it's out of our price range. If it's, again, I don't want to focus on that book too much because there are other ones. Wonder Woman 72 is another one we're looking in a slab. So this one, we're looking around $100 to $200 slabbed for that one. Oh man, I just wish I had. Let me dig through some more here. World's Finest 33, big Golden Age book. That's also grade dependent. It could be anywhere between a couple hundred. I mean, like several $100s to thousands of dollars. Action Comics 276. That one, if we find it in high grade, that's another big book that where we're just like, will you take $1,300 for it? Kind of situations. We're hoping we get a little bit of that, but I'm thinking in Canadian dollars, collectors are already doing the exchange rate in terms of value. So I don't think we're going to get a 1-to-1 type thing. Like if it's $1,000 here, it's not going to be $1,000 in Canadian dollars. So that exchange rate advantage I was hoping to get, I don't think it will be there when we actually get there. Superman 38, Superman 45, these are Golden Age books. Again, if they have them there, it's a crapshoot. We may come back with it. Batman 200, Uncanny X-Men 131, Batman 238, Wonder Woman 205. Again, Giant Size X-Men. Action Comics 285. That's one I think we will definitely be able to pick up if it's there for several $100s. And that is it. That's kind of the list. As you can see, it's very focused on like older books, big sort of keys, Silver Age, Golden Age type key books. And the Giant Size X-Men is that we're going to run into for sure. So for me, it's all about getting an inventory and what people are asking and juxtaposing that option. So I'm thinking if we do pick up that book, it's going to be low grade and we're going to pick it up for in the $700 range. If it's there, we can pick it up around 700, again, Canadian dollars. That would still give us a good bandwidth to pick up other stuff, at least 2 or 3 more big books, and then focus on filling some of the runs. And that's a big drop right there, even $700, right? It's like half our budget. But then other possibilities could be like mid-grade Joker, the mid-grade Joker, Neil Adams Joker cover. Because I've gone from like low grade, I was focused on picking up any copy, low grade especially, at the Comic-Con when we took $300 there. And now that we're taking 1,000, that it opens it up. I'm not wanting to pick up a low grade book now. I'm potentially looking at like mid grade or higher on that book. And it's tempting, but I think ultimately I'm going to probably land on a 4.0 copy for that book. and we're looking to pay $300 for a 4.0, or like $350 for a 5.0, somewhere around there. I don't think I'd want the book lower than 4.0, but then again, if they have like a 3.5 or a 3.0 and they want like $200 for it, that's a go-to in my opinion. So that's another book we realistically could come down with. Transformers 1, that's a hot book right now. So if we don't get it, I want to get it for like 150, somewhere in the fine range to VF. So if we can't get it at that price, or can't get it in that grade, like a higher grade for that price, I'm willing to forego that. G.I. Joe, I feel the same way. It's hot right now, so unless we get the price for it, or unless we get like a really good deal on a Canadian variant, like a Canadian newsstand variant. Although G.I. Joe is one of those things you wouldn't want a Canadian variant. You'd want the American, because it's G.I. Joe, a real American hero, not a real Canadian hero. So yeah, maybe the Transformers, like we could do maybe a Canadian variant on that, but not G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe would have to be a U.S. copy, newsstand. And again, we're thinking 150 on that too. But those are two hot books that, to be honest, like 150 right now is probably unrealistic. But a year from now, I'm sure if we don't pick it up this time around, it's still something to gun for down the road. And even though I say I'm stepping away from comics, if we found a G.I. Joe 1 or a Transformers 1 for like around $100, I'm sure we'd spend it. I mean, we have one. I have one locally that's I think what do you have priced at? $125. I'm not going back there. Arcane Comics sucks. Don't go there. What's the other thing? The action. So I've been on this Supergirl kick as well, and I've just got to say, there's one book here, Action Comics 285. It's actually a book I can pick up. It probably in a high grade slab there. If it's there in a high grade, I think this is one we will pick up, like focus on getting a high grade slab, or at least a high grade raw copy, something that presents high grade, even though it might be mid grade. Something that presents clean is this book. The one where it's not her first appearance. Her first appearance is really like one of those like Grail books that it's a dream book right now. Can't pick it up under like a couple. It has to be like you have to at least have $5,000 to pick up a low grade copy, right, of her first appearance. But this is the next best thing to that Supergirl first appearance. It's where she's introduced to the world, and it's just a great comic book that's just celebrating her, and it's such a feel-good book, just like the entire world embracing Supergirl, and she being acknowledged as such sort of Superman's equal in terms of her what she means to this planet and all that she does in terms of what her heroic deeds and all that. So it's such a great book, and that just feel like having that in the collection, I think, would outweigh any of the books I previously mentioned, with the exception of the Joker cover. The Joker cover just would, like, that for me has been it's just, I think for me, like, there are a lot of Neil Adams books, don't get me wrong, and I want all of them, but I just feel like that Joker cover, Neil Adams, this has been one I've been focused on for so long, like along with this book, the Action Comics book, and that, if we were to come back from the con with those two books, I feel like it's a success. Like out of all the books there are like 3 books that I'm really, really targeting. It's the Joker cover, that action comic, the Supergirl celebration cover, and this book. Wonder Woman 72. This one we want to get in a 9.4 or better. I don't mind picking up a slab on this one. This is just, yeah. I mean, if we get this in a 9.8, if they have this in a 9.8, it's coming back with me. And I'm sure it'll be a couple $100, but and that will end up probably being, I mean, again, what the book of the summer will be is we're coming down from this show with the book of the summer. Whatever we pick up, we're planning it'll usurp the Killing Joke cover. And I'm telling you right now, if we came down with like a signed ball-in cover of this book in a 9.8, that would be like the book of the infinite haul, I think. Like, I think that would pretty much land somewhere at the top of my collection. Because the Bolin book, as of now, the Joker Bolin book is like, that's a top 10 book in my collection right now. And, I got a great collection, but I mean, there are way like bigger books out there that just one book could dwarf my entire collection, right? So like I don't want to ever say like my collection is like cemented in terms of like its significance or whatever. There's I don't have like big books. So having this, being able to spend this, like just throw down like $1,000 on a book, which we've never done. Again, the most I've spent on a book is, I mean, outside of the like signature stuff and whatnot, is that Bolin cover. $200. It's the most we've ever spent on a book, which seems ridiculous to me, or to most people, right? Like, no way, you've been collecting how long, and you've not spent more than $200 on a book? I've spent 100, I've spent 120, I've spent even all, I think that book there, that Spider-Man book, cost me $125. I'm trying to think what other books, like there was a couple signature books I might have spent $100 on. I'm trying to remember when I picked up the Jim Lee autographed 9.8 book for. I think I picked it up for right around under $100 on that one. I think it was like, might have been around 100, somewhere around there. But yeah, nothing I've spent more than 200. That Bolin book, this like since we've gotten back into collecting, that Bolin book is the biggest I've spent. Most of my pickups are like, off a $20 haul book. $20, come back with like 16 books, $20. It's that. This Superboy book. I spent, so with the fees, I spent over 200 on this one. First Lana Lang. I think I got a bargain on that one too. I see this book now on eBay, like lower grades going for 500, 600. So, yeah. So yeah, what we come back down from Vancouver, Canada with will literally be like not only the book of the summer haul, but potentially like the book of my collection haul. Like I said, this in a 9.8, or this signed or this in a high grade raw, it would. So in a Night 8, I would put it on par with a Killing Joke book. In a high grade sign book, I'd give the advantage to this book. Because it's just, at that point, it's just like one slab versus one not being slab, but they're both signed books. And I consider, I think I just would give it to this book. As much as I love the Killing Joke book, I love that book. This book is like, to me, like, I mean, the Joker book is iconic, hands down, more iconic than this book. But personally, I did this book here is just like, it's better in my opinion. It's the better cover, hands down the better cover. But so much stuff. Like, there's so many books to go after, and it really, like, I have it pared down to like a handful of stuff, but you just never know. Like, we might go up there and just come back with the most random shit. Like, you know, I might come back with like some freaking like Todd McFarlane book. I don't know. like I might just see like ASM 300 there for like $100 or something, or like $200, and just that's what we come down with, right? Like a mid-grade ASM 300 that was there for like $200. I mean, I gotta pick that up, right? Something like that. So who knows? There might be a big like Jim Lee key there, 9/8 sign, you know, there, and it's reasonable. I might come back down with that one. So it's all about just hitting the floor, touring all the wall books. I'm not even going to focus on. I'm not going to focus on back issue digging until we've gotten around and asked, "Hey, do you have Silver Age, Golden Age, Superman, Action Comics? Do you have the Batman, Joker?" Like, just asking flat out, "Do you have it?" Because sometimes the stuff on the wall, they might have it in a box somewhere. It might be low grade. It might be raw. So you just got to ask, get a sense what people have. And then, it's from there. It's just like, you have to do some strategizing and prioritizing and coming to some, you know, what do we leave there? What do we come back with kind of decisions? And again, having the list helps you be focused. You don't want to get distracted. It's easy to get distracted, but man. Here's some of the other like big books, like this one here. I'd love to come back with this book. This is just a bunch of key first appearances. Big DC book. This is just one of my all-time favorite covers here. How incredible is that? You know. All right. Have a good one, Miss So. Thanks for hanging out. Stay tuned for those books. This is another one. It's not. I think we could probably get a low grade copy of this for several $100s. But I just think it's one of the most interesting covers. It's Superman in China. It's this weird. It's just a weird book to like. That it's not really racist or anything. It's just a weird book. It's like Superman popping up in China and these like two Chinese dudes, like, I don't know if I think they're excited to see him, maybe. You get this like pagoda looking thing in the background to make it feel like it's in China somewhere. That's one, again, out of all these like golden age Superman stuff, that's a book I wouldn't mind having. This one here obviously is a pretty cool one too. But yeah, bringing back something from the golden age would be cool. Again, this is the one I'm really targeting, hoping to find. I would have to find this. Like a 4.0 is kind of what I'm targeting, and trying to get under 1,000 for 4.0. Somewhere like 700 for a 4.0, I think, is where I'd want to land on this book. But that could be a stretch. And then, of course, there's Wonder Woman books. I want to pick up, like the Wonder Woman book I shared before, but also there's a Golden Age Wonder Woman book as well. Where is it? Not seeing it. Anyway, there's an early Wonder Woman book where it's sort of an innuendo cover. She's hanging onto this like phallic missile, and it's pretty funny. But that's a big book. That's one of those books that like you just would pick up low grade and spend like drop a K on. Oh, actually, I don't think it's that big. I think low grade we could get it in the maybe $600-$700 range. So I don't want to say that's like out of our range of pickups, but that's obviously a book. Like if it's there and the price is right, I think it would supersede a lot of these other things. But it's fun to kind of, and this is the thing, like you see how my brain's working and how excited I'm getting and how like, kind of obsessed I am with this whole trip and whatnot. This is what I'm taking a step back from. So when I'm talking about like stopping and kind of just letting go of the focus and obsession with comic books come next year, that's what I'm talking about. So I think it's something I have to really work at, because it's hard to do unless I give myself these like frameworks. Like, no, you can collect to your heart's content, but then I am good about quitting stuff. I've quit smoking, I've quit drinking for the most part. I have an occasional beer here and there, but there was a point where I was really addicted to alcohol and drugs and stuff. And so been able to kick all that. And it's just, telling yourself, no, you don't need this, and you're not going to do it anymore, and staying true to that. And so I know I can do it. I've done it in the past with other things, and this just feels like it's another sort of addiction that I'm, it's definitely a mental addiction right now that I'm having with obsessing about the hobby, and I'm enjoying it, but at the same time, it is kind of an obsession as well. But that time frame I'm giving, 2025, where I take a step back, it's really me like cutting the cord and going cold turkey on the hobby. So I'm just giving, I'm gonna enjoy this summer, and I'm gonna enjoy next summer. A lot of what you saw this summer, I'm sure it'll be bigger and bolder next summer. But at the end of that time frame next summer, you're gonna see me come up crashing down off a huge like hobby high, and I'm welcoming that. I'm happy. I'm imagining next summer to be like this super high, like where I've amassed more than I've ever amassed to spend on books, and we pick up the Grail book that that we've been targeting our entire lives, um, or whatever goal I give myself as the Grail pickup for next summer. It's still to be seen. We might not pick up any of these books, and we're still targeting these books next year. But whatever, again, goals we set next summer and follow through on, and then conclude with at the end of summer, I really, at that point, it's going to be like, that's it, like a mic drop. Boom, we're done. This is my collection. This is what's for sale. Hit me up. I'm going to take a break from the channel, and it'll just be this cutting of the cord. But it'll be good. I think it'll be good. So it's been fast and furious these past couple of years. It hasn't really slowed down. If anything, it's just got ramped up this summer. And I imagine it's going to continue to ramp up through next year, and it should be fun. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Not a lot of it's just all information, not a lot of books. But I just wanted to give you, kind of an inside look as to kind of where my mindset is at this point in the summer as we prepare for West Coast Comic Con in Vancouver, where we'll hang out with my buddy Alex B. And she's going to have a book there, original commission cover sketch book, which we're really excited to pick up, and I'm excited to reveal on this channel. I'm going to try to live stream that from the show and give you kind of a live update on how things are progressing, like where I think the value in the books are, or what maybe we'll have at that point. We'll have picked up the book, but I want to do that live stream right as soon as I meet Alex, get the book, secure it in my backpack, and then go on the hunt. I mean, I want to just initially spend some time with Alex, do the live stream, talk, chit chat, but let her get to her thing. And then me, do my thing, and then check in with her at the end of the day. And we're going to have dinner. I mean, I'll check in with her periodically. I'm sure she's not going to be like just bogged down with like fan engagements and stuff, but I'm sure she'll be busy doing some commissions and doing some artwork, and I want to let her be able to engage with the fans that are there to see her, and hopefully get things started. Like, be one of those things like where I stop in if I see her table empty and there's no one there, I'll stop in and like talk to her and like kind of form some engagement there, so people will be attracted and not intimidated to come up and see what she's working on or doing, or find out what she's all about. So I'm going to try to support her best I can. Hopefully I can get all my comic stuff done as quickly as possible, but something tells me like once I get the big books out of the way and I can start digging long boxes and short boxes, I'll switch to that mode. And I'm sure until every dime has been, again, until we leave every Canadian penny there, someone's going to have to force me, like, the con is closing, you got to leave. Until I get that message, I'll hook up with Alex back at that point, and then we'll go out, and that'll be that. I don't mind just giving Alex the remainder of whatever Canadian money I have. But hopefully it won't be much, because I'll have spent literally every dime that we have. So that will be that. And I'm just glad I could give you that update. All right, guys, have a great evening. And I'll see you, I guess, this Friday. Again, it's going to be a very meager haul, $5 to $10 from the 50-cent bins. It should be fun either way. I'm sure we'll pick up one or two books that are like, wow, I can't believe I found this in the 50-cent bin kind of like books, but don't expect anything like earth-shattering. You're not going to pick up like $100 book out of those bins. Russ is pretty on top of what goes in those bins. So, you know, the most I think we'll find is maybe a $20 book for 50 cents. So that's kind of like the most you can expect from that Friday haul video, but who knows? Destiny's been pretty good on these hunts so far this summer. So yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. All right, peace out.